Hi! For this video, what we are going to do is we're going to solve a quadratic equation by factoring. In order to solve a quadratic equation, you must first get all of the terms on one side and have it equal to 0. It is always best to have the x squared or the quadratic term positive, so you want to make sure that when you are getting everything, it doesn't matter whether it's on the left or the right, you want to make sure that the x squared term is positive. So to guarantee that, you do want to move the smaller of the two x squared or quadratic terms. This one is smaller since it's only 1, so I'm going to move it by subtracting the x squared. So I'm going to subtract x squared from the 2x squared. I want to take everything from this side. Since I'm taking this over, I also want to take this 5 to the other side also. So to do that, I'm going to do the opposite of what's being done. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. This side gets us to where we are left with 0, which is what we wanted. And on the left-hand side, we are going to have x squared plus 7x plus 12. And anytime I have a quadratic equation where the leading term or the leading coefficient is a 1, I always check to see if it's factorable. And the way to see if it's factorable, basically we're going to figure out if there are two numbers that multiply together to give us 12 that also add up to equal 7, or the middle term. Because when we FOIL, the last number is always found by multiplying the two terms together. The middle number is always found by adding two numbers in the middle together. So with this, like, some possible factors of 12 are like 1 and 12, but if I add 1 plus 12, that gives me 13 and not 7. If I try 6 and 2, if I add them together gives me 8 and not 7. We're getting closer. So the last one that we can look at is 3 and 4. And with this, we know that 3 times 4 is 12 and 3 plus 4 is 7. So this factors into the expression x plus 3 times x plus 4. And you can always check your work here to make sure it makes sense. X times x does give us x squared. The outside number gives us our 4x. The inside gives us the 3x, which is the 3 plus 4 we needed to get the 7. And the last 3 times 4 gives us 12. So we can see that this is definitely factorable, and that our product that we wrote out makes sense. So now what we would do, we would use the zero product property. Basically, if I have a product that is equal to 0, one of these expressions must equal 0. So either x plus 3 has to equal 0, or x plus 4 has to equal 0. So if I solve both of these equations, we end up with x is either going to be -3 or x is -4. And those would be our two solutions. As always, you do want to make sure that you check your work. So if we plug them back into the original equation, we would have 2 times -3 squared plus 7 times -3 plus 7, and we're going to see if that equals -3 squared minus 5. On this side, when we square -3 squared, we get 9, and 9 minus 5 does give us 4. So let's check the other side. On this side, -3 squared again is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. On this one, I have a positive 7 times a -3, so I can either write this as plus -21, or I can just write it as -21 plus 7. So if I simplify this, there's a lot of different ways that you can add this together. You can do the 18 plus the 7 first to give you 25, and 25 minus 21 gives you 4. Or you can do the 18 minus 21 first and get -3 plus 7, which either one of them gives you 4, so we can see that the first number works. We've checked this one, we know that it works, and so we want to check the other one as well. So we would do 2 times -4 squared plus 7 times -4 plus 7, and see if it equals -4 squared minus 5. If you're plugging this into your calculator, make sure that you're very, very careful about putting parentheses around the negative 4. If you square it without the parentheses, it will only square the 4 and keep the negative, so be very aware of that. So this first part here, negative 4 squared, gives us 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 7 times negative 4 gives us negative 28. Plus 7. And we want to see if it's the same thing as 16 minus 5. And 16 minus 5 gives us 11. Over here, 32 minus 28 gives us 4, and 4 plus 7 is also 11. So we can see that this one also works, so we did indeed find the correct solutions. As always, thanks for watching.